Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pastor Greg Laurie.
I was 17 years old, a brand new believer. I heard the pastor say, you need to go out and talk to people about Jesus Christ.
Under Greg Laurie, and also the church is related to alleged of young men at a children's home in Romania.
There are scandals, and then there are time bombs, and this one just went off in the most unholy way possible. Because just when we thought the Erika Kirk drama couldn't get any darker, newly leaked documents have surfaced, and they are absolutely chilling. What they reveal about her alleged connections to Pastor Greg Laurie and a shocking pipeline between a California megachurch and a Romanian faith organization is enough to make even her staunchest defenders go silent. We're talking secret flights, undisclosed overseas donations, faith missions with no paper trail, and multiple online claims from former church members calling the entire operation manipulative, controlling, and cult-like. And the worst part? Erika was in the middle of it all. According to one internal document titled Eastern Expansion Protocol Priority, EK and GL, Erika's presence in Romania last year wasn't just a ministry trip. It was a covert recruitment mission. One designed to soft-launch a new conservative influencer pipeline from Europe back into the States, trained, vetted, and aligned with a very specific ideology. And who was the architect behind it all? Pastor Greg Laurie, a man who's built an empire off charismatic sermons, celebrity endorsements, and massive crusades that fill stadiums with tens of thousands. But behind the worship music and Instagram-friendly faith reels, insiders say there's something much more sinister brewing beneath the surface. Because now, whistleblowers are speaking out, receipts are dropping, and names are getting exposed. And when you hear how Erika's personal redemption story overlaps with this international pipeline of power, money, and obedience, you'll never look at a faith influencer the same way again. Get ready, because what you're about to hear is the story they prayed would never get out. Before the documents leaked, before the cryptic travel photos, and before anonymous whistleblowers started coming forward, Erika Kirk had already been positioned as the princess of modern conservative Christianity. She was the polished, poetic poster child for the trad wife revival, the woman who could bake a cherry pie, quote proverbs on command, and sit front row at CPAC, all while maintaining perfect lighting on her Instagram stories. Her rise wasn't an accident. It was engineered, strategically branded, algorithmically boosted, and heavily sponsored. With a blend of right-wing alignment and curated femininity, Erika became a cultural archetype, hailed as the anti-feminist feminist. But behind the apron, behind the scripture verses, and behind the podium at Turning Point events, there were murmurs, whispers, questions. Why was Erika so embedded with political think tanks despite never holding a policy position? Why did she speak at global conferences on moral revival that were funded by unknown European donors? And what was with her sudden 2023 trip to Romania, a visit she described as a spontaneous opportunity to pour into young women of faith? Because that trip, it's now at the center of a spiraling international controversy. Let's rewind. Erika Kirk wasn't just another influencer. Her marriage to conservative activist and commentator Charlie Kirk made her one half of a power couple that functioned more like a political brand than a relationship. Together, they cultivated a joint image that felt both grassroots and elite, humble Bible readers who also dined with billionaires. Charlie had the stage, but Erika had something even more powerful: intimacy with the audience. She knew how to whisper faith into your feed, how to make politics feel like purity, and how to position obedience as empowerment. But here's where things get strange. In late 2022, Erika began teasing a new spiritual journey, a deepening of her purpose, as she called it. Her posts started referencing European spiritual heritage, revival in the East, and the importance of international faith unity. At first, it seemed like poetic rambling. Then she disappeared. For 3 weeks in early 2023, Erika went dark. No stories, no tweets, no mentions from Charlie. When she resurfaced, it was with a grainy, black-and-white video of her standing in front of an old Orthodox church in Cluj-Napoca, Romania, with the caption, "Some call it old religion. I call it holy alignment." It seemed like an aesthetic choice until now, because these new documents, leaked from an anonymous Romanian source and authenticated by multiple journalists, confirm what many had suspected. Erika wasn't just visiting churches. She was part of a religious diplomacy project, codenamed internally as the Pipeline. This project, spearheaded by a cluster of faith leaders across the US and Eastern Europe, had a mission: create a new generation of transnational conservative influencers who could echo each other's messaging, back each other's movements, and provide the illusion of a global, grassroots spiritual awakening. and one of the most active architects of this mission, Pastor Greg Laurie. Known for his mass evangelical events like Harvest Crusade, Laurie is a megachurch titan whose reach extends far beyond his pulpit in Riverside, California. He's baptized celebrities. He's had cameos in Christian films. He's stood beside Republican presidents. And most importantly, he's built an enormous international ministry network, including multiple sister churches and youth programs in Romania dating back nearly a decade. At first glance, this all looked like charitable faith expansion. But these new documents say otherwise. In one internal memo dated January 2023, titled Cultural Mirror Deployment Strategy, Phase II, Greg Laurie's name appears directly alongside Erika Kirk's. The memo outlines a coordinated plan to plant American-style faith influencers into Eastern Europe with the goal of creating spiritually aligned content pipelines, training young women in visually resonant, virtue-based branding, and most damning of all, gathering local spiritual sentiment data to inform future family-centric political lobbying. In both countries, in other words, this wasn't ministry. It was faith-based influence farming. And Erika, she was one of their first exports. According to leaked flight logs, Erika took a private plane, funded by a donor collective linked to a US-based religious charity, to Romania in February 2023, alongside two unnamed media advisors. For 8 days, she participated in closed-door sessions with women aged 18-25, all from religious universities across Eastern Europe. The documents describe these sessions as values integration seminars, but former attendees, speaking anonymously, said they felt more like indoctrination camps. We were told how to smile, how to pray on camera, how to pose with Bibles, how to speak about men. Always with submission, always with softness, one Romanian attendee told an independent reporter. They said we were the new frontline of the faith war, that we had to be ready to speak truth into Western culture, but only if we looked like Erika. Another attendee described feeling inspired at first, but later terrified, when told her TikTok captions were being reviewed by a US team for spiritual consistency and emotional resonance. Let that sink in. Faith content scripted, edited, reviewed by a foreign team, and the operation didn't stop there. The same leaked documents include expense reports showing donations from Erika's foundation, Daughters of Faith, routed through intermediary nonprofits before arriving at 3 Romanian ministry programs. But here's the catch: none of those nonprofits publicly list Erika as a donor. In fact, none of them are even traceable to Romania on paper. So where did the money really go? And what kind of content, messaging, or influence was it funding? Even more unsettling are the hints at surveillance. One spreadsheet, codenamed Impressions versus Convictions, Balkan Phase, lists names, email addresses, and engagement metrics for over 200 young women who attended Erika's sessions. Each profile includes notes like likely to platform, requires theological coaching, and avoid political mentions until Q4. This wasn't ministry. This was content scouting with a faith-based cover. And if Erika Kirk and Greg Laurie were willing to go to these lengths overseas, what were they doing here at home? Because according to a source familiar with the megachurch's Romanian program, this was just the testing ground. The plan was always to build a loop. Europe feeds the US, US funds Europe. It's not a ministry pipeline, it's a power pipeline. And now that the documents are out, that power is starting to crack. But what Erika didn't see coming, what Greg Laurie thought he could control, was about to backfire. Because one former pastor's wife from the Romania trip has now come forward, and her voice memo leak changes everything. Ready for the first major twist, the voice memo was only 63 seconds long. But in that 1 minute and 3 seconds, the curtain didn't just fall, it was ripped down completely. A former pastor's wife, who we'll call Anna to protect her identity, had attended the Romanian conference where Erika Kirk was a keynote speaker and small group mentor. At the time, Anna believed she was stepping into a space of mentorship, spiritual bonding, and guidance for future ministry wives. But what she recorded behind closed doors told a much darker story. In the now leaked audio clip, verified through voice match software by 2 independent experts, you hear Erika, not in her usual soft-spoken sermonette tone, but in strategic command. Her voice is sharp, confident, directive. She says, "The women we train here aren't just for this generation of media. We're building archetypes. Trad wife isn't a phase, it's a long-term strategy. People are tired of chaos. What we're offering is order, beauty, obedience, wrapped in grace." A pause. Then, these girls will go back home, launch their platforms, start small groups, sell journals. They'll be worship leaders, homeschool moms, micro-influencers. It's not about numbers, it's about framing faith as irresistible. And trust me, No one frames it better than a well-lit woman quoting Corinthians while baking sourdough. Laughter erupts in the background, except Anna wasn't laughing. "It hit me," she said in a written statement attached to the leak. "We weren't disciples, we were prototypes. This wasn't about our walk with Christ, it was about our value as digital packaging." And the most chilling line of the recording. Right before the clip ends, Erika says, "Greg's already beta testing this in California. We're just refining it here. Once we get the Romania model clean, we replicate across Latin America next." Boom. That's the moment people realized this wasn't just a spiritual journey. It was a multinational, faith-based influencer cloning system. And Pastor Greg Laurie wasn't just aware of it. According to a leaked itinerary and budget spreadsheet titled GLXX 2023 Rollout, he was funding it. The document reveals expenses tied to a quiet 501c3 called Harvest Echo International, a subsidiary ministry under Laurie's broader Harvest Church umbrella. Harvest Echo's stated mission was supporting youth evangelism across underreached European territories. But when cross-referenced with the leaked documents, it becomes obvious. Flights for Erika and her team. White heavy checkmark funded through Harvest Echo venue rentals in Romania. White heavy checkmark paid by Harvest Echo private photography/videography crew. White heavy checkmark listed under Narrative Capture Team EK session, untraceable honorariums to guest instructors. White heavy checkmark labeled as Ambassador Cultivation Disbursements still sound like a basic church conference? Because here's the twist that turns this entire scandal from creepy to catastrophic. One of the document bundles leaked includes a PDF titled Visual Obedience Curriculum Spring 2023. Within this file are training modules, complete with scripts, caption templates, posture guides, and literal photography diagrams showing how to stage spiritual authority through angles, lighting, and wardrobe. Examples include tilt head downward to express spiritual surrender. Eyes upward convey hope. Never shoot from below creates intimidation. Skirts or dresses preferred. Avoid denim. Avoid sneakers. Aim for timeless femininity over trend. Quotes must be less than 15 words. Never include full verses. This isn't Bible study. It's visual resonance. It gets worse. The final page of the file contains a ranking system for prospective faith influencers, scored out of 100 based on attractiveness, accent neutrality, scripture, fluency, camera comfort, obedience quotient. Yes, obedience. They were literally scoring women on how visually and theologically submissive they appeared on camera. And then the most outrageous revelation in the entire document dump, a page titled Candidate AUS. Integration Readiness. Next to that header is a photo of a young woman, sitting on a bench, holding a Bible, wearing soft blue linen, smiling, and in the bottom right corner, a watermark that says, Erika approved. That girl is now a TikTok influencer with over 300,000 followers. She posts daily Christian content. She sells ebooks about faith journaling and peaceful womanhood. Her followers have no idea she was manufactured. That she's the product of a Romanian obedience boot camp, handpicked by Erika Kirk, styled by Greg Laurie's ministry teams, and funded through anonymous political donors. And that, right there, is the center of the twist. The Megachurch-Romania influencer pipeline isn't just about branding. It's about global ideological control. And the influencers being created through it, they're not telling their followers the truth. Now the backlash is starting to boil. Multiple attendees from Erika's Romania sessions have begun coming forward on TikTok and Reddit, sharing disturbing stories about emotional manipulation, forced silence, and threats of being spiritually blacklisted if they broke the NDA-style faith contracts they were pressured to sign. Some shared screenshots, others posted blurred documents. One even uploaded a voice message from a US-based coordinator warning them not to embarrass the ministry or question the process. And through all of this, Erika Kirk has gone silent. No tweets, no stories, no response. But the longer she stays quiet, the louder the truth becomes. Because now, even former Harvest Church employees are blowing the whistle, alleging that Greg Laurie's media teams were redirected from local ministry to Eastern media projects without knowing what they were really working on. One source said, "We thought we were filming content for global discipleship. Turns out we were staging influencer reels for women trained to copy Erika." As this scandal unfolds, people are asking, how many of these influencers are real? How many are actors in aprons, reciting lines to guide their audience toward pre-decided political and spiritual conclusions? And most terrifying of all, is this the future of faith? Manufactured belief, algorithm-friendly obedience, international echo chambers, all disguised as genuine devotion. And if Erika Kirk and Pastor Greg Laurie built this system without accountability, who else is building theirs right now? The media hasn't caught up yet. Church leadership is scrambling. Donors are panicking, and the documents keep leaking. But this was only the first twist. Because in the next section, a major celebrity influencer with millions of followers who was secretly involved in Romania's training camp is about to be named by a whistleblower. And when that name drops, it will destroy the illusion of authenticity forever. Just when the scandal seemed like it had hit its peak, one name exploded across social media like a spiritual grenade: Brittany Dawn. That's right. The former fitness influencer turned controversial faith leader, Brittany Dawn Davis, who had already faced public outrage for her past fitness scam lawsuits, suddenly found herself dragged directly into the Romania influencer training pipeline. And not just as a participant, but as a co-mentor, working alongside Erika Kirk in the same visual obedience curriculum, sessions now at the center of the backlash. A new whistleblower, going by the alias at Faith Unfiltered, posted a full 9-minute TikTok montage featuring screenshots, dated itineraries, private Facebook group posts, and never-before-seen video clips from inside the Romanian Daughters of Virtue compound. And right there, clear as day, was Brittany Dawn, standing shoulder to shoulder with Erika, flipping through a binder titled Faithfulness Bootcamp Global Cohort A. In the video, Brittany is heard leading a session where she says, "Your testimony is your weapon, but your presentation is your armor. The enemy uses distraction, and distraction is chaos. What we're doing here is restoring the aesthetic of order so that obedience looks beautiful again." One attendee secretly filmed the moment and shared this note. "They made us walk around with flower crowns. We weren't allowed to talk to men on the property. We weren't allowed phones unless we were pre-approved to post. We weren't praying, we were posing." Within hours of the TikTok going live, it was viewed over 4.5 million times, and hashtags like #FaithPipeline, #Erika Kirk Cult, and #Brittany Dawn Exposed began trending across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram simultaneously. People were stunned, not just because of the secret collaboration between two controversial internet faith personalities, but because it exposed a fully operating machine built on secrecy, submission, and carefully curated Christian aesthetics designed to emotionally manipulate followers. And it gets worse. A second leak dropped later that same day, a full Google Drive folder titled Balkan Harvest Echo Assets. Inside were dozens of internal documents, training footage, and content strategy PDFs. One of those files, a 16-slide PowerPoint presentation named Tier 1 Faithfulness Case Study BD. Yes, BD. Brittany Dawn. The file broke down her entire online evolution from fitness grifter to faith leader, describing her as the ideal prototype for redemption monetization. Slides included emotional pivot points, how her public apologies generated trust, aesthetic branding, soft beige tones, head coverings, and earth tones to invoke purity and softness, post-trauma authority, leveraging her past mistakes to establish spiritual credibility, virality tactics, using tears, open Bibles, and vague God moments to manufacture relatability. One line in the deck literally read, "BD proves moral failure can become currency if repentance is stylized correctly." The backlash? Immediate. Christian creators began posting response videos, furious at what they called a betrayal of the gospel for profit. Faith-based podcasts dropped emergency episodes with titles like, "Is Your Favorite Faithfulness a Fraud?" Erika, Brittany, and the Cult of Obedience, Greg Laurie's silent approval. Even major Christian publishing houses started issuing vague statements, with one saying, "We are reviewing all current partnerships and affiliations to ensure alignment with biblical values and authentic leadership." But the biggest shock came from the online receipts that started pouring in from fans. Multiple followers of both Erika and Brittany began checking their old DMS, finding identical messages, word-for-word prayer encouragements they thought were personal. Turns out they were scripted, copy-pasted from a master mentor messaging document stored in the leaked drive. A few of the reused messages included, "I feel like God led me to tell you this. There's a storm around you, but He's building your shelter as you read this. Don't chase a seat at the table. You were always meant to host it. Obedience in silence is often the loudest sermon." One follower wrote, "I remember crying when Erika sent that to me. Now I find out it was pre-written. It feels like emotional catfishing." Another said, "It's like finding out your pastor's sermons are written by an AI. This whole time we thought we were being discipled, but we were just being managed." And while Erika remained silent, Greg Laurie's team issued a vague 2-sentence statement. "Harvest Ministries has always supported international outreach rooted in biblical truth. We are currently assessing recent claims to ensure full alignment with our mission." No denial, no specifics, just vague damage control. But the silence from Erika and Brittany, deafening. And then came the real bombshell, a hacked email. An anonymous account posted a screenshot from what appears to be Erika Kirk's internal inbox. The subject line, Pipeline Phase 3, Latin America Activation Strategy. The sender, a man named Michael R., a known operations director within Turning Point Faith. In the email, Michael outlines which women from the Romania cohort are ready to export, which U.S. churches are open to influencer testing, how Erika and Brittany can lead closed-loop trials of content designed to trigger viral obedience trends, but one line in the email made everyone's stomach drop. We have confirmation that Laurie's Peru site will be online by Qtwo. Erika and BD can soft launch using the Feminine Clarity Reels and Daily Repentance Journaling model. Repeat Romania strategy. No phones this time, less noise. No phones, less noise. It doesn't sound like ministry. It sounds like a psychological experiment. The public reaction was nuclear. Faith creators across platforms began publicly unfollowing Erika and Brittany. Hashtags like #unfollow Erika and #deplatformed on surged. And secular influencers even joined in, mocking the entire situation with TikTok skits of Christian NPCs and trad wife bootcamp tryouts. But amid the chaos, a chilling trend started appearing. New faith influencers with eerily similar looks, styles, captions, and content began showing up across TikTok and Instagram. Some had Romanian usernames. Some were American but used identical language. Others appeared with no history, just Bibles, whispers, and aesthetic silence. Commenters started connecting the dots. They're still launching the pipeline. These are the export-ready girls. We're watching the next Erika Kirk get manufactured in real time. It was no longer about Erika or Brittany. It was about a system, an industrial faith content machine designed to weaponize aesthetics, obedience, and digital reach for global influence. And the questions now looming: who funded this from the start? How deep does the Turning Point faith connection go? What does Greg Laurie really know, and why hasn't he spoken out? But even scarier, who's next? Because if this many influencers are faking it for God, what about the politicians backing them? What if this whole network is bigger than anyone imagined? In the next section, we dig into the public and industry reactions, including leaked PR strategies, political distancing statements, and influencer blacklists circulating among church media groups. When the truth about Erika Kirk's Romanian pipeline and Brittany Dawn's covert mentorship dropped like a spiritual atom bomb, the fallout was instant and brutal. Public opinion splintered. The Christian influencer space went into meltdown, and churches, brands, and political figures scrambled to distance themselves before the digital flames swallowed them whole. The first to react? The fans. Instagram and TikTok exploded with hashtags like #cultured faith, #tradwife, takedown, #not my ministry, #Erika, exposed, #harvest manipulation. One viral video from a former Harvest Church attendee captioned, "I used to tithe to Greg Laurie. Now I find out I was funding a beauty boot camp." Reached over 2.1 million views in 48 hours. Hundreds of TikTok creators started digging into Erika's old videos, pointing out eerie similarities with the obedience curriculum uncovered in the leak. One woman said, "Erika's captions have always felt too clean, too perfect, but now I realize it was strategic obedience messaging the whole time. We weren't inspired. We were groomed." And then a new wave of commentary came from a surprising place: ex-influencers. Several women who had once been mentored by Erika Kirk or Brittany Dawn came forward anonymously, sharing chillingly similar stories of being encouraged to script their testimonies, told to delete emotional content unless it fit the aesthetic, pressured into taking down posts that mentioned anxiety, doubt, or questioning. One voice memo from a former mentee was especially haunting. "I thought I was being discipled, but it felt more like I was being prepped for a showroom." Meanwhile, on Twitter/X, Christian influencers and pastors began posting their reactions, and they were sharply divided. On one side were the defenders, calling the backlash a witch hunt against women leaders or secular attempts to discredit traditional values. Some notable defenders included a megachurch pastor who posted, "You can't cancel what's biblically rooted. Erika and Brittany are guiding women back to holiness. The attacks prove they're doing God's work." A political commentator who tweeted, "So we're mad that Christian women look good while sharing the gospel. Make it make sense." On the other side were those who saw the scandal for what it was: manipulation disguised as mentorship. Faith author Alicia Jenkins went viral for her 4-minute reel where she said, "What Erika did wasn't discipleship. It was digital mind control wrapped in linen and lighting. Jesus flipped tables for less." And it wasn't just voices inside the church weighing in. Major news outlets picked up the story under headlines like, "The Christian Influencer Pipeline, Faith or Fabrication, BuzzFeed, Church or Cult, Inside the Erika Kirk Scandal," Vice Trad Wives, Obedience, and the Making of Christian Barbie. The Cut, even Rolling Stone published an expose headlined, Exporting Obedience, How Megachurches Are Manufacturing Female Faith Stars Abroad. And the political distancing, swift, sharp, and calculated. Turning Point USA, which had previously promoted Erika Kirk at numerous events, quietly deleted multiple photos and captions mentioning her from their Instagram. Journalists who noticed this attempted to get a statement, but all they received was, "We have no current collaborations with Mrs. Kirk." Right, current, but no acknowledgement of the past. J.D. Vance, U.S. Senator and known Erika ally, was finally forced to comment after a trending post linked his wife's book club appearances to the influencer training model. At a press event, Vance said, "Erika's work has always centered on family and faith. I don't speak to operational strategies, but I believe in her integrity." Translation: "Don't drag me down with this." Meanwhile, Harvest Church's damage control machine kicked into high gear. Their official account posted a now-locked video titled Clarifying the Mission, where a representative vaguely alluded to confusion surrounding our international outreach initiatives. But within hours, comments were flooded with, "Just say you got caught. No accountability equals no tithe. You used Romania to launder influence." Even more telling, a leaked internal PR strategy document, shared by a former Harvest employee, outlined the exact steps to contain the scandal. Avoid direct references, do not name Erika, Brittany, or any cohort by name. Emphasize misunderstanding, frame the backlash as a misinterpretation of intent. Invoke scripture, reference spiritual warfare to redirect blame. Highlight wins, pivot public messaging to recent baptisms or mission work to shift focus. This wasn't transparency. This was corporate spiritual spin, and the fans saw through it. Facebook groups once dedicated to Erika's Grace and Grit devotional series began turning into hotbeds of resistance. Longtime followers posted side-by-side screenshots comparing Erika's old content to the leaked obedience curriculum, showing eerie word-for-word overlaps. Meanwhile, church media circles began circulating a blacklist spreadsheet titled Crisis Risk Tier Faith Influencers 2026 Cone on it. Erika Kirk, Brittany Dawn, several Romanian pipeline graduates, and even some platform collaborators from conferences like MomCo, Fearless Women, and Courageous Faith Retreat. The note next to Erika's name read, "Do not book pending investigation, high volatility risk." Several megachurches canceled women's events quietly. Others deleted YouTube sermons featuring Erika. One podcast episode simply vanished from Spotify, no explanation. Brands got nervous, too. 3 Christian clothing and jewelry lines, previously partnered with Erika, issued quiet statements like, "We value transparency and have decided to pause future collaborations pending review." And perhaps most shockingly, one of Brittany Dawn's brand deals was canceled mid-launch. A Christian planner company posted on Instagram, "We were not aware of the recent revelations surrounding one of our affiliates. We are taking immediate steps to distance ourselves." The influencer empire was collapsing in real time, but not everyone was backing away. A shadowy faction of conservative Christian creators began doubling down, using the scandal to promote a more hardcore version of obedience. Their message? Erika may have gone soft. We won't. And that's when the final twist came. A new influencer, rising fast out of nowhere, began trending. Her content? A copy-paste of Erika's aesthetic, but with even less transparency and more extreme submission messaging. Her bio simply read, "Obedience is beautiful, silence is strength, your femininity is your altar." Fans began speculating, was she the first Phase 3 prototype from Latin America? Was this the next Erika, already trained, styled, and launched? Because if the pipeline wasn't fully shut down, then we're not looking at a scandal. We're looking at an assembly line, and the public's not ready for what comes next. Just when it seemed like the dust was beginning to settle and the influencer world was adjusting to the fallout, when churches were cautiously distancing, fans were unfollowing in droves, and even Erika Kirk's closest allies were pretending like they never knew her. Another document dropped. And this time, it wasn't just about Romania. It wasn't even just about influencer training. This one was political, leaked by an anonymous insider from what appeared to be a faith political strategy network tied to high-level conservative circles. The document was titled, Operation Sapphire Tactical Deployment of Feminine Faith Narratives. Let that name sink in. The leak, sent to multiple journalists, creators, and watchdog accounts, outlined a covert initiative to launch, monitor, and weaponize obedient feminine voices to soften public perception of increasingly extreme political ideologies. And guess who was listed as the original successful case study? Erika Kirk. The file included an internal memo dated nearly 3 years ago, which read, Kirk model proves effective in message absorption. Her blend of submissive tone, traditional values, and aesthetic neutrality lowers audience resistance to controversial social commentary. The memo continued. When paired with faith-anchored language, the pipeline becomes a vessel for redirection. Conversion through comfort. This was never just about faith. It was about using faith aesthetics as political camouflage. A slide in the file showed how Erika's brand had increased female voter alignment with far-right agendas by influencing from the inside, softened public reception to male-dominated events by promoting women's faith panels, as Shields activated thousands of micro-influencers via pre-approved caption packs and video scripts. But that wasn't the worst part. In the same document was a folder labeled 2026 LATAM Activation Prep. Inside were contracts, scripts, and, shockingly, passports and visa planning notes for Phase 3 operatives. Most of the names were blurred. Except one, Abby Vance. Yes, the wife of Senator J.D. Vance, a woman who until now had largely stayed in the background, only occasionally appearing in faith-based roundtables or family panels. But this document showed a full-fledged plan for Abby to begin a 3-month ministry tour through Colombia, Peru, and Chile under a new initiative branded Hearts Anchored, Women of Peace and Power. It sounded sweet. But the leaked itinerary showed daily video shoots, curated talking points, and closed-door training sessions with graduates from Erika's original Romania cohort. So here's the million-dollar question. Was Erika just the test run for something far bigger? Was her fall from grace merely collateral damage as the people behind her moved to launch an even more global, sanitized, and political version of the same operation? The evidence suggests yes, because in the days following the leak, several of Erika's old online materials, previously taken down, started quietly reappearing but rebranded. Her Trad Wife Prayer Journal, now sold by a new anonymous influencer on Etsy. Her 5-day femininity challenge, word-for-word copied and offered by a Colombian faith page with no verifiable owner. Her interview templates, obedience scripts, and social captions, now circulating across Telegram groups with usernames like Virtue Mamas LATAM and Obedient T Aesthetics. The message was clear. You can cancel the influencer, but you can't cancel the system. Erika Kirk was merely the face of something far more calculated, and now that she's gone quiet, those behind her are simply rotating in the next prototype. Some even speculate she's been instructed to remain silent, not for legal reasons, but as part of a planned sacrifice to absorb the backlash while the machine continues undetected. And if that's true, then buckle up. Because the final cliffhanger isn't about Erika, it's about what's coming next. What if we told you there's already a Phase 4, a secret test group happening right now in Budapest? New candidates, new platforms, new tactics, but the same mission. Package obedience as empowerment, disguise control as community, and turn faith into a factory of influence. And the most terrifying part, they're targeting younger girls now. A separate leak revealed a children's ministry app, scheduled for release later this year, designed to guide tween girls through journaling, prayer, and personal growth. But behind the soft pink UI and cheerful Bible verses, scripts that score obedience, track social behavior, and auto-suggest approved responses based on moral alignment, that's not discipleship, that's digital grooming. So the next time you see a smiling woman with perfect lighting, a muted dress, and a caption that reads, "He makes me bloom through silence, cherry blossom," ask yourself, who wrote that caption? Was it a real woman of faith or someone's political tool? Because in this game, authenticity is optional, aesthetic is everything, and influence is currency, and we're just scratching the surface. Because the next exposé will name names, reveal funders, and show exactly how deep this rabbit hole goes. You thought Erika was the problem? She was just the prototype. Now that you've seen the receipts, heard the leaks, and uncovered the blueprint behind Erika Kirk, Pastor Greg Laurie, and the alleged global faith pipeline, we need to talk. Because what just unraveled before your eyes isn't a story, it's a movement. And the fact that you stayed with us to the very end means you're not just a viewer. You're part of the resistance. So now we need to hear from you. Drop a comment right now and answer this. Small blue diamond, do you believe Erika Kirk was in on it from the start? Or was she just a pawn in a bigger game? Was Greg Laurie running a manipulative megachurch machine? Or is this being blown out of proportion? And most importantly, do you think there are more Erikas being manufactured behind the scenes right now? Don't hold back. This is your moment to be part of the investigation. Collision, smash that like button if you think this story needed to be told. Collision, hit subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the next drop, because trust us, there's so much more coming. Collision, turn on all notifications, because the next exposé is going to name names, expose financial backers, and even leak internal communications that could implicate more churches, more influencers, and possibly even political figures. And if you know something, saw something, have receipts, DM us anonymously. Your identity will be protected, but your truth might just blow this story wide open. Firecracker, because this wasn't the end, this was just chapter 1. And when chapter 2 drops, nobody will be safe. We'll see you in the comments. And until then, stay loud, stay awake, stay dangerous.